No!
That was the vampire I saw earlier. This war takes no prisoners. The West End. Never have I felt so sad to be back home. I have this thirst for blood. Mother.
Jonathan!
I'm right here, Mother.
Yes. For this...
Mary.
I know she's gone. The question is, when will she return as you have? I miss my grandson so much.
Mother.
Not really.
What do you mean you get lost?
Of course not. When I go out, your father always comes with me, but he leaves me there sometimes, and
Have you returned?
I never want to go back to that awful...
It was just a bad...
A nightmare, yes.
Do you need anything?
I just want you to stay.
I'll stay as long as I can, I promise.
Just one thing. Stop staring at me like that. As much as I love you, it breaks my...
Are you working on a new...
Not recently. I have trouble focusing on my subject and my mind quickly drifts. It's the same...
I recently met a talented painter.
I'd be glad to meet her.
She's not famous, and her name is of no...
The important thing is, I hope you two...
Why do you say Mary is visiting you, Mother?
Why should it be? Are you not standing in front of me right now? Why should it be any different with...
But Mary really...
Yes. And are you not dead too?
But I'm not dead, Mother.
Oh, it breaks my heart to have to tell you...
Goodbye, Mother.
Goodbye. Your father and I have spoken about your fiancé, Mary. We believe he'll be an honorable husband for you. We'll set a date for the marriage then. That way, I'm sure one of my children will give me grandchildren. I understand your thirst for knowledge, Jonathan, and your father and I are proud of it. But you are not that young anymore, my son. When will I meet your soulmate? You can ascribe my romantic tendencies to my French origins if you want, Aubrey. but I'll never cease to believe in a match made in heaven, my beloved.
I really wish you could meet her, Mother. You would love her. Hello again.
Jonathan.
Do you really see Mary?
Yes. For many years, it was just a game. Since your father left us without a word, I took to the house.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, it was. But since then...
I'm so sorry.
That's true, my son. But you know what the worst part is? I liked it when Mary spoke in my head. Now she is silent.
Should I leave you alone? Just up.
Oh, no, Johnny. You're...
Goodbye, Mother.
Goodbye.
I remember Sunday walks in the park.
Yes, Jonathan? John...
Father seems to have left me some documents. Some sort of treasure hunt game. Do you...
No, Johnny. But your father always loved to write these little games for you when you were a boy.
I remember now. He used to post me these riddles, as though they were sent by a mysterious games master.
Your father was always so proud each time...
I was proud too.
The important thing is that you remember it now. I'll tell your father the next time I see him. He'll...
Could Father have conceived some sort of final game for me before he left?
I really can't say, Johnny. Perhaps you should talk with Avery about that. He was your father's confidant, more than I.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good evening, Avery.
Mr. Jonathan?
I know, Avery.
Miss Reed expected you to return to assist with the funeral, right up until the last minute. Where have you been?
How is my...
Not well, I'm afraid, sir. Miss Reed is very fragile since the police brought her back home.
The police?
Miss Reed was found walking in the streets. She kept saying she had spoken with her son and daughter.
Has she received a...
I'm taking care of Miss Reed myself. Hospitals are so overwhelmed by the epidemic that they can only accept...
Perhaps we could arrange a short trip.
I'm afraid Miss Reed is too frail for the moment.
What is this?
For a time,
Have you no relative?
your father managed to guarantee...
I'm sorry I could not.
Your mother was strong, sir.
To be present at the funeral with you both was my dearest...
I would not dare to question your absence, Mr. Jonathan. All I can say is that we missed you a great deal.
Tell me the truth, Avery.
No, sir. I have nowhere else to go.
This house is dead.
If only you could have been here sooner or...
You have served this family.
Then I will stay. All I ask...
Do you really think I don't...
Yes, I do, Mr. Johnson.
You clearly have something more to say.
I know you work hard to help the...
My home is here, and I have nowhere else to go. But this house will need some improvements if I move here.
That's good news. What...
Do you know my mother's...
Yes. I sometimes...
So she thinks I'm also...
I believe...
She may get better. It's only a...
Yes. With...
I found an old letter.
Your father wanted me to give you this letter for your 35th birthday, but you left for the war, and the letter remained...
I realize now you knew my father better than I...
No, sir. Mr. Reed was not exact...
Goodbye, Ava.
Of course.
John?
Tell me, Mother, how are you?
I'm sad most of the time.
I'm so sorry, Mother.
What happened, Johnny?
I lost my way.
You should have told me, Johnny.
Do you think Avery is right? Do you think...
I don't blame you.
I know I have failed you since I...
You don't have to apologize to me, Johnny.
Have I changed that much?
You are still, and you're...
Goodbye, Mother.
Goodbyes. Mary?
Equality between men and women.
Good evening, miss.
Oh my God, no. Please, Mr. Vampyr.
Wait, no. Why...
Don't worry, Dr. Reed. I know you wouldn't harm me. Mother told me you were in this part of town.
Your mother? I understand she also taught you how to tease and What do you think?
I was raised here, and I suppose it feels like home. You grew up in this part of town, too?
Yes, I was born...
A small world, is it not?
You won't trick me twice, young lady. We both know Lady Ashbury never hunts or attacks.
Come on, Doctor. Don't tell me you...
Is there something that...
Too much selfishness and individualism for my taste.
Even if that's partly true, may I remind you that many charitable institutions are financed by the...
I suppose you're right, but...
Tell me about your...
What do you want to know?
Who are your real...
Elizabeth Ashbury is my real mother. She raised me and has taken care of me all my life. I haven't...
Do you live with...
I still spend a lot of time in my mother's mansion.
How did you meet...
First, I was an orphan in the
Did you know she was a vampire when she picked you?
The correct word is Econ, Doctor. And no, I had no idea why my mother only showed up at night. She told me everything when I turned 16. Though I suspected the truth for a long time before.
What are you
You mean, what do I do outside at night?
Actually, yes. I ask the same question to everyone who dares to go outside at night.
Well, if you must know, I campaign for the right to...
Are you a suffragette, then? Oh, you really are Elizabeth's girl. With...
All adult women have the right to vote in the US, in New Zealand, and in Australia. But women here can't vote and...
No need to convince me, Miss Charlotte. I have shared your opinion for a long time. Even before...
Really? Oh. Now I see why my mother appreciates you so much. Too bad there aren't more men like...
How are the locals reacting to your claims?
People here can't wait for a war.
Explosives are very dangerous.
She is my best friend, and a suffragette too. She was supposed to campaign with me tonight, but hasn't turned up.
Have you any reason to be worried about...
Recently, Emily started to believe in...
Let me guess. You spoke to her.
Oh, that would be top-notch. I can tell you where she might...
What exactly...
Your name and profession, obviously.
Does it not scare you to know...
Why should it? My mother is the most compassionate woman. Must I be wary of her, Dr. Reed?
Of course not. You have nothing to fear.
Good to know. And don't worry.
Your mother is not like...
I believe she thinks the same.
Do you know why Lady
No, I don't. Each time I ask her that question, she smiles and says it's precisely because I dared to ask.
Do you ever regret that she chose...
Of course not. Though I often...
Your mother has refused to turn you into a...
Each time we argue, Mother expresses the same fear. She wants me to remain alive and full of joy, rather than become melancholy and immortal. She claims you can't have one without the other.
Your mother has walked this earth for much longer than you or I. She is wise, and we should not ignore her advice.
But why shouldn't I be allowed to forge my own experience? There can't be only one righteous...
It's your mother's choice.
I love my mother, and having...
Does it bother you?
No. Whoever I...
Why do you still hope...
It's the immortal aspect of vampires that interests me. The world won't improve unless women take charge.
You're obviously a clever woman with a good...
Is it not true of every high position?
Tell me, Charlotte...
I won't give up. You have no idea how determined I am, sir. I may contract a deadly disease. I may throw myself under a carriage.
That's a disturbing answer, young lady.
There are less dangerous ways, Doctor.
Never. That would be betraying.
For sure. But look on the bright side. We would have eternity to reconcile.
Or an eternity to run away from your mother's mighty wrath.
Yes. I think...
Goodbye,
She's be...
The Ascalon Club. The heart of British vampire society. Not quite as subtle as I expected. Good evening, sir. Please...
I never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude. And you are not disturbing me at all. I am Calhoun...
Well, I must admit, it's good to receive a warm...
Welcome, Dr. Reed.
How is the...
Life is good and peaceful.
Are you not concerned?
Oh, I'm sure the authorities would take the appropriate measure if the danger were that high.
I'm afraid the newspapers are seriously underestimating the situation. Things are critical, believe me.
Well, that's news then. But I can't believe that things are that bad. Are you sure you're not exaggerating a bit?
What can you tell me about...
I recently found the...
Finding a good...
Oh, I have many passions, but nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
I must confess, I have quite...
Really? Well, I'm always happy to...
Is it not a little too late to be trading?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating...
But what about the epidemic? The bombs and raids? And all the random...
Please, sir.
So you...
Oh, I all...
Do you have it?
Not since my parents died.
Really? But you...
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
London's lone...
I used that name in my early years when I was...
I may...
Do you know where you are standing right now?
In front of the Ascalon Club, I presume.
The Ascalon Club only summons or ostracizes. What is your business tonight?
I received an invitation. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed. Please proceed. Lord Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed.
There has been quite a battle here. I'm sure the Ascalon Club has the money to replace the furniture.
Good evening. We repel the intruders for now.
My good friends, if I may have your attention. Behold our visitor, the good Dr. Reed. Newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansher was no match for him.
Hear, hear, hear!
Come forward, young Ekon, for we have so much to discuss. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. I am Lord Redgrave, Earl of Bristol and chairman of this exclusive association.
Lord Redgrave.
At last we meet. I've been eager to make your acquaintance. I've heard some astounding things about you. Please accept my condolences for your loss, Dr. Reed.
Thank you, my lord. Lady Ashbury expressed your wish to meet me.
Yes. The lady has always been a useful acquaintance, though not always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
Yes, she is. I may even say I admire her probity and her kindness. She has helped me since I was reborn.
The centuries have taught me never to trust a woman completely, especially if she is a mortal. Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too fickle when it comes to important decisions.
My lord, do not expect me to speak ill of Lady Ashbury.
Of course not, and I praise your loyalty. Would you offer the same fidelity to the Empire?
What do you mean?
I speak of the Skull Plague that threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open up a second front here.
The epidemic has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of the outbreak.
We don't know for certain, but we cannot allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
Why have you asked me here?
Because the crisis is escalating. Our enemies, the Guard of Priwen, have even launched an open hunt. The only way to calm things down is to put an end to the epidemic.
You want me to find possible sources of the outbreak in the West End? Is that it?
Ah, straight to the point, like all eager newborns. We shall have time to talk about all this, Dr. Reed, but first, I should like to get to know you better.
Talk? Is that the only reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon, who made such a powerful progeny of his sister. You have not learned the name of your maker, am I correct?
No, I haven't.
Have no embarrassment, Dr. Reed. We all make mistakes. But whatever your lineage, You are definitely Ascalon material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club, and to serve me as such.
Before I accept, I have...
Please ask.
What does it mean?
It means that you swear to protect the interests of the Crown, that you become a loyal servant of the British Empire.
Do you have any official recognition from the government? A charter from His Majesty the King?
No. Of course, the Ascalon Club publicly supports the Empire, but the true nature of its...
Am I supposed to follow?
As founder and chairman of the club, I alone am entitled to make demands of our members. And I do appreciate...
What is the...
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest knight who ever lived. As was he, we are sworn to protect the British Empire.
What does
Ascalon was the lance wielded by St. George, glorious patron saint of England when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nation's enemies.
William Marshall?
Not exactly. William Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been...
I killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours. Sent to cleanse the East End of all Skulls. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed. Fergal was a zealous servant of mine, but like any servant, he had his limitations and is readily replaced if necessary.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news. Good news indeed in these crucial times. Let's inform the Assembly formally and proceed with your initiation.
My initiation?
Fear not. Nothing fancy nor dangerous. It is just that we, the members of Ascalon, believe that tradition and custom are the backbone of this country. My fellow members, dear friends, please gather and welcome this Ekon as one of our own.
Is he worthy? Is his blood pure?
Well, speak, Dr. Reed, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young Ekon, it is time to testify with your blood. It is time to sign the Book of Allegiance. I know it's awfully gothic and a tad pedantic, but England's traditions are the backbone of our nation. Delightful. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. Take your place among the bearers of the lance.
One of us! One of us!
I personally went...
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
It's quite unsettling. As a doctor, I am more used to being the observer than the subject.
Do not be alarmed. The Ascalon Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its...
May I ask who you are?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw quite a bit of attention yourself.
Ah. Vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
Are you a member?
Yes, I am. And I have been for...
What can you tell me?
It's not really my place to give you such information. I am merely a mortal member, and a dying one.
Are you
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reed.
Are you not afraid?
Sir, it's for that very...
Is not the nature of this club a secret, shared by only a privileged few?
My dear Dr. Reed, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather that kind of information.
So you asked...
I have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my...
What can you tell me?
I would not dare speak of our chairman.
Mr. Dawson. Of Dawson and Dawson.
A withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you...
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir.
Absolutely not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in. To cast out the ghastly evil that has us...
What do you know about the guard?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs, right?
But they are...
They are not
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods. But brute force will not be enough to fight this plague.
What is the situation?
I am sure Lord Redgrave will enlighten you more.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more...
You're right. Money is nothing.
What is your plan?
Quarantine and barricades are futile.
But that would segregate the rich from the poor.
Our only course of action must be to...
Are you not mistaking sacrifice?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? We'll talk later, Dr. Reed.
That went well, did it not?
You have the makings of it.
I was, though very long ago.
So why did you...
Straight to the point again, young Ekon.
I'm listening, my lord.
According to my spies, you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic. And your findings were quite...
You were spying?
Not personally. I rarely...
Who was Fergal?
Fergal Banshire was my squire of sorts. Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a brute. He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he?
No. He was a Volcod. All muscles and instinct. Quite the rare breed. Ferociously territorial. Mortals often mistake them for werewolves.
You do know...
Yes.
Will you bear ill will towards me for...
Of course not. Your victory was quite impressive and courageous. You earned my respect.
Do you know...
Not personally, but...
Does it bother you that I consider...
As long as you reveal nothing of the club's inner workings, why should I forbid you engaging in conversation with the good Dr. Swansea?
Yes, I'm convinced the recent invasion of frenzied Scals in London is directly linked to the epidemic. This is not the Spanish flu, but something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reed, but for now, my main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
Alarmed by the epidemic, the Guard of Prewen has started a war against us British vampires. To appease the situation, we must eradicate the Scals.
Scals are hostile vectors of contagion, that is a fact. But first and foremost, they are victims.
I agree, Dr. Reed. Most of the new Scals who roam the streets at night used to be good British citizens, but they must be put down nevertheless.
So, what do you want me to do?
I want you to investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find and cleanse them.
And how would you like me to proceed?
By all means necessary, Dr. Reed. You are now a member of the Ascalon Club, and you have carte blanche. Interrogate the locals, follow all the leads you find. How's your investigation?
I have a few...
All right, but be quick.
You made me swear on the blood...
William Marshall was the most glorious knight who ever lived. He served 5 kings, and was a living example of probity for all. And he was my maker.
William Marshall was a vampire? Is this some sort of joke? Wait.
That would be joyful news, for it would mean he still walks among us. But alas, the great knight...
Why is his blood?
He was simply the greatest defender of the realm we have ever known. I fought by his side at the Battle of Preston, and he made me his progeny.
What can you tell me?
It's a major concern, and I'm convinced we'll only get a satisfactory conclusion by putting an end to the epidemic.
I have already met Geoffrey McCullum. I am certain he will persist until he has killed every last vampire.
The Guard's current successful recruitment campaign is driven by the ravenous behavior of the Scowls.
I see. So without the epidemic creating Scowls, the Guard could not convince anybody of our presence.
Exactly. Once we have put the epidemic behind us, we need only wait until the Guard grows old and weak. Time will once again become our ally.
What about the risk of a full-scale attack here? Geoffrey McCullum is a daring leader.
That is exactly why so many of our number have left the country until things improve. But not me. I founded this club.
May I ask you about the mortal?
A member of the club does not normally ask.
So he really is a member?
Indeed. Only the most eminent member.
But Mr. Dawson is mortal.
Aloysius Dawson is a man of his word, as are all of us. This is the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. We do not...
Goodbye, Lord.
Godspeed.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club.